What are controlling images? The average person in the United States spends 10 hours every day consuming media, from television shows to movies to online videos. And what we watch on the screen influences how we see the world. Sociologist Patricia Hill Collins came up with the concept of controlling images to explain how media representations reinforce stereotypes. She also argues that these stereotypes reinforce racist beliefs and are used to justify racial inequalities. For example, the representation of Black men as thugs serves to justify the astonishingly high rates of incarceration of Black men today. And the media representations of Black women as hoes or video vixens serve to justify cuts in social services by deeming poor Black women unworthy of such aid. Collins primarily restricted her analyses to African Americans, but we can extend her concept of controlling images to other groups. For example, one of the primary ways Latinos are represented in the media is as drug lords, gangbangers, and petty criminals. These media representations reinforce the stereotype that Latinos are prone to crime and serve to justify the disproportionate rates of imprisonment of Latinos. Similarly, Latinas are often represented as either hot-blooded women or maids. Representations of Latinas as possessing uncontrolled sexuality serve to justify cuts in welfare and restrictions on immigration. And the representation of Latinas as maids reinforces the idea that Latinas are destined for low-wage occupations. These representations of Latinos also reinforce the belief that Latinos should serve whites. For example, the primary role of the Latin lover or the hot-blooded Latina is to please their white lovers. The maid and the gardener keep primarily white neighborhoods looking nice. Portrayals of Arabs and Muslims propagate Islamophobia, promote Orientalist stereotypes, and are used to justify foreign interventions. Hollywood has played an important role in portraying the Arab world as an exotic place that requires white Westerners to civilize its people and drag them into the 21st century. Shobha Sharad Rajgopal argues that representations of Arab women as veiled, traditional, and oppressed work to reinforce the stereotype that Western culture is dynamic, progressive, and egalitarian, whereas Arab cultures are backward, barbaric, and patriarchal. These stereotypes reinforce the idea that Americans need to go to Iraq and Afghanistan to rescue women from themselves, and in particular, from their brutal and oppressive Arab husbands. Native American men are usually portrayed either as savages who brutalize white people, as wise elders who use their knowledge to help whites, or as warriors who are romanticized but know that their tribe will ultimately meet its doom. In contrast, Native American women are usually portrayed as either princesses who fall in love with a white hero, or as promiscuous squaws. We rarely ever see representations of Native American characters with depth, humanity, or even a family life. The same could be said for Asians. Asian women tend to be portrayed either as dragon ladies or as butterflies, both of which highlight their sexuality and deny their humanity. Asian men are usually desexualized and emasculated. These raced and gendered images reinforce prevalent stereotypes about people of color in the United States and also give viewers the idea that whites are morally and intellectually superior. Insofar as media depictions shape our perceptions and portray white characters as having more depth and redeeming qualities, they work to justify the fact that whites tend to fare better in American society on nearly any measure. In a similar fashion, the depiction of Americans as saviors of the world helps to shape our perception of the United States as a beacon of democracy, even as the US military wreaks havoc on the Middle East. Collins argues that these images influence how we treat one another. However, this does not mean that these images determine how we treat one another. Instead, their pervasive nature means they affect all people in our society. Faced with these images, we can either internalize them and accept them as our reality, resist them and develop our own ideas, or ignore them. Any of these reactions requires some action on our part and will affect how we think of ourselves and of others. For this reason, Collins calls them controlling images.